The crisis took a few more interesting twists and turns this week. The electricity minister now officially receiving his powers, and we got an insight into what will happen to our aging coal-fired power plants as well. Newzroom Afrika's Andersen has this report.
Looming stage 8 and the now all too common question in the local energy sector. To car power ship or not to car power ship? 3 power generating ships were given permission this month by the Transport Department to dock for 20 years at 3 ports around the country. That's despite the car power ship deal still missing key environmental clearances. The car power ships use gas to generate electricity and then pump it into the country's national grid. While refusing to discuss car power ships specifically this week, Environment Minister Barbara Creecy did sing the praises of using gas to generate electricity.
Gas is part of the energy mix in the integrated resource plan. And I think if we look globally, what we would find is that many developed countries are involved in energy transitions, and they've always seen gas as a transition enabler because gas has a lower carbon footprint than coal. So I think that we continue to believe that gas is an important transition enabler.
This week also saw President Cyril Ramaphosa finally give Electricity Minister Kosiyenso Ramakgopa his powers in terms of the Electricity Regulation Act. Dr. Ramakgopa's mandate includes the ability to determine what amount of new generation capacity is needed, as well as the types of energy sources required. He has also been given powers to set the percentage of electricity that must be generated from each source. However, Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe will still be responsible for implementing the Electricity Minister's determinations. With South Africans having been warned of stage 8 blackouts being likely in the next few weeks, the next question becomes, what happens to plan to switch off and decommission aging coal-fired power plants? According to Minister Creecy, South Africa will have to push the decommission date back, but will still be able to meet clean energy targets set out as part of a just energy transition.
It is possible to still meet those targets. In my speech, I talked about the fact that it may be necessary to change the decommissioning dates for some of the units at some of the aging power stations. It doesn't make sense when you're in the midst of an energy crisis to take 400 megawatts off the grid. But we believe that we can look at that schedule and we will be able to meet both our energy needs and our decommissioning needs.
With Western nations having committed to help fund South Africa's just transition, those who pledge their millions of dollars will be watching to see just how this country chooses to get out of its current energy crisis. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Andersen in Johannesburg.